Hello and welcome to True Crime with Tori Lee. I am your host Tori Lee and this is the channel for true crime lovers. This is episode 2 and today we are discussing the case of Celeste Manno. This is a solved murder case and it is completely out of this world. An obsessed stalker who relentlessly stalked, tormented, caused psychological harm to his ex-work colleague for more than a year. This led to the unthinkable happening where he stabbed her 23 times while she slept in her own bed at her own home. The system failed to protect Celeste and failed to listen to her and her family. These episodes cover topics of a sensitive nature and listener discretion is advised. Let's wind down, relax with a wine or tea and get straight into today's case. Celeste Manno was born on the 22nd of November in 1996. She was the first child to her parents Aggie and Tony. Aggie and Tony say there was nothing not to love about Celeste. When Celeste was 4.5 years old, she became a big sister to her brother Alessandro. Celeste was a beautiful 23-year-old woman. She has been described as kind, loving, and compassionate. She was very loved by her family and friends and captured the hearts of all who knew her, and her words of encouragement also touched the hearts of those who heard them. Celeste disliked the idea of anyone feeling left out, so she was always striving to include others. Celeste believed in starting your day with a smile and making your heart the prettiest thing about you. Celeste was radiant, vibrant, and had a spiritual soul. She found joy in the simple pleasures of life, such as music, dance, food, shopping, and sports. She had heaps of friends, a bright personality, and was the pillar of her family. Celeste had a commitment to helping people, and during her high school years, volunteering her own time at an organization for young people needing someone to listen to their troubles. This was just one manifestation of her desire to make a difference in the lives of those in need. As Celeste entered adulthood, she was dedicated to studying criminology and psychology as a ray of hope or healing others. She graduated from university in 2019. Celeste's time was tragically cut short at the age of 23 years old. Celeste worked for a company in Melbourne's northeast called Serco Global Centre. Serco delivers essential public services around the world, offering things like healthcare, justice, immigration, citizen services, and defence. So basically, all employees play an important role in caring for people and managing complex public services. Celeste worked in the call centre department. During her time working here, Celeste was promoted to a team leader role. A man by the name of Louis Seiko worked at this call centre for a few months with Celeste. However, Louis was fired in June 2019 due to his performance issues. Celeste did not fire him, however, it was her job to escort him out of the building. Celeste explained to her mum Aggie that she felt sorry for Louis and extended her hand and wished him the best with his future career. But Louis then leant in and gave Celeste a kiss on the cheek. This is how it all began. Louis took Celeste's kindness for weakness. This was the most time Celeste and Louis had spent together since working together. Her mother Aggie stated she had never spoken of Louis before, except for the day that he left, when she discussed how she felt uncomfortable from the kiss on the cheek. A few days went by after Louis was fired, and he contacted Celeste via Instagram. Celeste then told her mother, Aggie, "You would never guess who messaged me. The guy I told you about the other day that kissed me on the cheek." There were heaps of messages, some like poetry, some stating how crazy in love he is with her, that he can't eat, sleep, function, or find a new job because of his obsession with her. This was the attention Celeste did not want, nor did she reciprocate or entertain these messages. She blocked the Instagram account, but within half an hour, another message request from a random account would attempt to message her, and she would again block it. Celeste continued to block numerous accounts, but each time he would return with a new Instagram account. Aggie had enough of the continuous harassment her daughter was receiving. She stated to Celeste, "He knows where you work, and we don't know who he is. I'm getting concerned and something needs to be done." Celeste responded with, "I'm sure he will get bored." But after 6 months of experiencing this daily, He didn't. And after a few messages that went from loving and poetry like to seeming to have so much anger and hate behind them, now Aggie took her daughter to the police station. So even though Celeste didn't want to go, when they arrived at the police station, the officer stated that Luai hadn't committed a crime and that there was nothing that they could do about it. The police officer didn't take notes or even the name of the predator. Celeste was told if she didn't like it, then it was best for her to stay off social media. They left the police station and Aggie was not happy with the outcome. The Instagram messages continued and they started to become sexually explicit. Aggie became so worried about Luai that they went back to the police station after dealing with a relentless, year-long stalking situation. The police officer advised they should get an intervention order immediately. Aggie asked if something could have been done when they visited the police station 6 months prior, and the police officer responded with, well, let's just say some of us do our job better than others, and repeated, get an intervention order now. An intervention order was put on Luai, but Aggie still didn't feel a sense of relief when leaving the police station. Aggie said to Celeste, this is just a bit of paper, sweetie. Just remember that. For a month, Celeste had peace. Luai seemed to have stopped and the intervention order seemed to have been working. Then one day, a 3-page long letter showed up, begging and pleading that Celeste drop the intervention order, stating that she was ruining his life. So now Luai had breached the intervention order. They charged Luai for the breach and everything stopped again and he disappeared. Well, they thought he did. They really thought it was over. But they didn't know Luai was parked and sitting outside of Celeste's work and following her home to find out where she lived. He even downloaded her floor plan of the house she lived in off Google. During the time everything stopped, Celeste met a man through her work named Chris. They spent a lot of time together and their relationship was full of joy. Chris says Celeste always lit up and her laugh was infectious. After a fair few dates, Chris and Celeste took a beautiful photo together on the 15th of November and uploaded it to social media and shared with their family and friends, declaring they were officially in a relationship with each other. Little did they know, Luai was still stalking, and this triggered Luai, who was still lurking in the shadows, that this picture was uploaded. And it sent Luai into a rage of anger. His evil act was far from over. Luai's next move was to buy a weapon. On November the 16th, 2020, Aggie and Celeste were the only ones home. Just before 4 a.m., armed with a hammer and a kitchen knife, Luai smashed Celeste's window with a hammer and leaped through her bedroom window and attacked her while she slept in her bed. 1 million pieces of glass was everywhere from the hammer shattering the window. Aggie heard the commotion and was calling out to Celeste as she started running out of bed and down the hall seeing blood. She found Celeste lying on the bed covered in blood. She began pulling Celeste out of the bed but didn't want to put her on any of the shattered glass. Celeste didn't stand a chance. The entire attack lasted 3 minutes. When the police arrived, Aggie was giving CPR to Celeste and doing everything to get her daughter to respond. Now, I'm just going to stop for a second. As a mum myself, I could not even imagine the pain, the heartache, suffering Aggie was going through in that moment and still is continuing to live through and go through now. As parents, we want to protect our children and we are supposed to go before them. In recent interviews, Aggie blamed herself. Aggie was asleep in her house and could do nothing to save her daughter. She says she hates herself for Celeste being in her home and under her watch and this happening and that she must live with that feeling every day. And I felt that. The police arrive and declare Celeste as deceased. Police state this is a crime scene. We found a knife. And Aggie instantly said, what? He killed her? Police asked, do you know who this was? She said, yes, that guy who wouldn't leave her alone. Police confirmed Celeste was stabbed 23 times. Luai is seen on CCTV leaving the house. This was a premeditated murder plan. He drove himself to a police station and handed himself in. He was taken to a hospital and treated for wounds. Aggie instantly knew he was going to claim mental impairment defense. That is exactly what Luai did, delaying a guilty plea while he underwent a series of tests for mental impairment. To cope with living without Celeste, Aggie needed to know the laws and fight for justice for her daughter Celeste. The more Aggie learnt, the angrier she became because the system failed this family. Celeste could have still been here today, but instead Celeste was murdered 6 days before her 24th birthday. Aggie visits Celeste's gravesite every day, and she will never stop fighting for justice. Since Luai was arrested, he has been refusing to plead guilty after being in and out of court for 3 long years after the horrendous murder. Luai finally pleaded guilty in 2024 after failing to convince a psychiatrist he was mentally impaired. Luai was finally given a punishment and sentenced to 36 years, but Luai can apply for parole after 30 years. He currently remains in solitary confinement, which he will stay in for the rest of his time served. Prison authorities have been notified that he is a considerable risk and likely to strike again, especially on female prison guards. And the 39-year-old killer did not show an ounce of emotion in court. Aggie will fight forever for justice for her daughter. She will keep fighting for Luai to get life in prison, the harshest penalty possible, which I'm going to add, he absolutely deserves, like a life for a life. Aggie has used this traumatic situation she experienced to do better and fight for a change in the laws to try and prevent this from continuing to happen. Aggie refuses to believe that the laws can't change. She states the monster should have been locked up for life, and she will appeal the court's decision of the punishment served. Aggie said the court decided to grant Luai mercy, even though he showed Celeste none. Luai gets a second chance when he can apply for parole after 30 years served, and he will be released at the age of 65 years old. And Celeste didn't get that second chance. Victims have had to change their name and even move interstate to protect themselves. The loss of life due to stalking needs to end. There needs to be stronger consequences for stalking. Intervention orders give victims no peace of mind. The predator gets a slap on the wrist and an opportunity to breach again. Too often the system puts the victims last. Most victims know of or have had some encounter with their stalker. Stalking isn't just physical, it is digital also. So during season 1 of True Crime with Tori Lee, we're focusing on different types of stalking cases. So what is stalking? Understanding the word stalking and what it means. Stalking is the unwanted attention from somebody. It can come in many different forms. Text messages, calls, private messages, emails, face-to-face interaction, letters that could result in harassment or damage to your personal property. Stalking is generally to induce fear in a person that they are stalking. It is a persistent action caused by a person to try and exercise power and control over another person. These actions cause distress and loss of control, fear, or harassment to another person and occur more than once. Understanding the problem and use the word stalking, which is what it is. Stalking is a behavior. You need to tell somebody what is going on. Give them every single detail about it. Keep a detailed record of every interaction you have with this person. Build up as much evidence as you can. Write it in a diary. Block them on social media platforms and enhance your online privacy settings. Alert the people in the area that this stalking is occurring. For example, if this is happening at your work, you need to reach out to your manager. Report it to the police, and it's important to take immediate action. Watch for escalating behaviors, messages that go from declarations of love to threats of violence. Trust your instincts, trust your gut. If it seems off, then it probably is. If there is an immediate threat, don't hesitate to call emergency services. You have every right to seek protection and support services to ensure your safety and well-being. That is all I have time for today. Happy Easter, everybody. A new episode is released weekly. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed yourself and want more content, then hit that subscribe button, leave a review, or share with your other true crime besties. For now, bye. I'll see you next week.